I do believe they have good players. They're just all slumping. They're just not getting the big hit when it matters. When you don't have that elite player to avoid these types of slumps, then these slumps can get extended.
We're Cubs heavy at the first hour here at the jump of the show today because of what happened to them last night, and it just gives everyone a little litmus check, a little reality check on where they're at and why it's been such a disappointing year. Of course, you can catch it all the time on Northside Territory with Sahadev Sharma and Patrick Mooney, and also check out all their work in the Athletics. Sahadev, great to have you back on, man. So let's go over last night's game and how it explains what the season is looking like for the Cubs so far. Do you feel like last night hit a boiling point for the fan base with the booing and the way that they lost?
Yeah, I think last night was kind of the peak, or maybe the nadir of everything here. The fans were really frustrated. Neris is struggling mightily, and Hector Neris, anyone that's watched him knows that this guy puts men on base at times, but he knows how to get out of it. He doesn't overthink the situation. So you think that he's going to settle down and get into it. He's done that all season long, and then the last 3 or 4 outings, it's just the runs are coming at far too much of a frequency, and he's got 2 blown saves in games that they really felt like they were going to win, and they had some momentum going, and they're at a point right now where they just need to rack up as many wins as possible. So losing in that fashion, and I'm sure we got 2 former ball players here, they know that losing when the bullpen blows a game, that's some of the most demoralizing losses you can have.
It feels like you're not set up for the next day, or like, now Hector can't go for maybe the next 2 days, depending on how they're using him. Yeah, that's a demoralizing, especially when you had a 3-run lead, not just like a 1-run lead that you coughed up all 3 of them. Is this, though, ultimately a gift for Cubs fans? There's no season where Cubs fans are like, oh, it's okay if we don't win, but almost like a message to the front office, like, you needed to do more. You needed to give us more. Like, I get it, they're 1.5 games out of the playoffs right now. If they make the playoffs based on what the front office and ownership spent this offseason, it's almost like showing the fans, hey, see, look, we didn't have to do much more. We made the playoffs. Isn't it almost like a gift? Like, hey, this team is struggling. They're not going to make the playoffs. You need to spend more. You need to make more moves and get out of the 5th inning that you said you were in the offseason.
I don't disagree with the general premise that you have there, Eric. I think, unfortunately, with the way baseball is set up right now, it's hard to really buy into that, because so many front offices are like, if I get 83, 84 wins, sneak into the playoffs, there's only 2 or 3 great teams all across baseball, right? And then anything can happen. We've seen it year after year now. So I don't think a lot of these front offices are super motivated to go above and beyond when it comes to spending and trying to get the elite players who cost the most money, right? The ones that rarely hit free agency. So when they do, the best teams are going to spend well above what everyone else is willing to. I think there's a couple things here, right? Jed Hoyer's been reluctant to spend big on that elite offensive talent. He just has. He's hoping to develop that player, or he's hoping to trade for that player with a solid farm system that he's helped build here. There's also the idea that Jed Hoyer just doesn't spend big on relief pitching. I generally agree with that practice, but at a certain point, you have to. I'm not saying you hand out 3, 4, 5-year deals, but I think you need a couple more veterans in this bullpen that have done it before. They didn't get enough of them. I like Hector Neris. I think Hector Neris is the perfect type of person that this bullpen needed, because there were some young arms coming up, and they've been waylaid by injuries. I don't want to ignore that, but still, they needed 1 or 2 more veterans in this group to just kind of settle things down in case of injuries, in case of ineffectiveness. Neris is a great leader. Neris has been there before. He sets a great example for everyone else. He's not going to overthink yesterday's blown save, and you can go to him again if need be, but there's just I've had people around baseball say there are a lot of front offices, and Jed Hoyer is included among that just don't value relief pitching as much as maybe coaches and managers do, especially when they're in that situation. They're like, I have to go to this guy again, or this guy's really struggling. There's a reason Craig Counsell said he's going to stick with Neris as closer, or at least isn't just removing him right away. It's because his options are limited. He has to get 27 outs somehow. So Neris is either going to be used in a high leverage situation in the 7th or in the 9th. And he's going with him in the 9th because he's the veteran and he's done it before.
And Wisniewski's he had a great start to the year, and he's kind of faltered a little bit. It's really, to me, it's a view of very little depth. And that's how you build a team, is with depth. And when that depth gets tested, it's exactly what you said at the beginning. When you cough up a 3-run lead, you're sitting there going, oh, great. Now what do we do? Like, we got to figure out how to win tomorrow. That is demoralizing. But the reality is, this team doesn't hit.
Yeah.
Why do they not hit? And is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Like, you can't strike out so much and expect any difference. It's like, they keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right. I think they believe they have a better offense than what they've seen for the past, 46, 47 games now. I agree. It's better than the worst offense in baseball. I think what I really focus on right now is what I said before. They don't have that elite bat. I think they have good offensive players, sometimes guys that perform great. But you look at Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. These guys have 2-week slumps? I mean, Aaron Judge started off slow and he was just basically like an average player for a couple of weeks and people were freaking out. And now he's once again MVP level. I think that's the type of player that when others are slumping or others are the focus for the opposition, now you have that elite player. We can't focus on, say, a Suzuki as much. We can't focus on Cody Bellinger as much. Cody Bellinger 2019, that's the player I'm talking about, right? He's not that player right now. He just isn't. So they don't have that elite talent, and I think there is something to be said about that guy being in the lineup. I'm a numbers guy. I can look up all the numbers you want and tell you about numbers. There's something that I've learned being in Clubhouse every day for the past 15 years, and there's stuff that you just can't measure. There's stuff that just matters that the numbers won't tell you, and I think having that elite guy in the lineup changes things and avoids these long, prolonged slumps, because I do believe they have good players. They're just all slumping. They're just not getting the big hit when it matters. They're not. It's little things at certain times. The ball's finding the glove at certain times. It's all these things are coming together, and it's leading to terrible offense. Right? I don't think they're that bad. I just think when you don't have that elite player to avoid these types of slumps, then these slumps can get extended.
FT is headed to the MLB All-Star Game this year, and there's only one way you should be finding tickets for any ball game. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, so they have you covered for all of your baseball ticket needs.
I'm super pumped to hit the Futures game this year. That new skills competition looks electric.
I agree, Kratz. It's like the Olympics for baseball. Cannot wait to see that. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. Baseball season's in full swing, and you don't want to miss out. SeatGeek has your tickets to every game and, of course, concerts, festivals, and more.
Every ticket's backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps.
And Kratz, FT came through for the people. Use our code FOUL for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code FOUL. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app, please.
You mentioned Cody Bellinger, but a big name they did bring in was Dansby Swanson. And for all the hype he got, I mean, I saw a thing, I don't know when it was, but through their first 207 games, Dansby and Jason Hayward are pretty identical to what they're done. I think Dansby had some more home runs. But people, and I love Dansby. I played with him when he first came up, but are the fans getting ready to be like, what is going on with Dansby Swanson? Because offensively, he has not come close to repeating what he did with Atlanta.
Yeah, I think the fans have been a little frustrated for a while now with Dansby Swanson. Listen, I think he's an elite defender. Watching him every day, I've learned that. I didn't realize how good he was at shortstop until I started watching him every day last season. very impressive at shortstop. Makes all the routine plays and then makes some difficult plays that I just did not realize he could make. He started off slowly this year, both defensively and offensively. So I think that was a little jarring to see the defense kind of falter. The offense isn't there. He played hurt for too long. I think that caused some issues. His mechanics aren't where he wants them to be. He's kind of leaning on breaking balls. It's a lot of different little things that I've talked to the hitting coach about. He's not where he wants to be. He's not getting the results he needs to be getting. He's getting paid a lot. Now, granted, they added him for that defense primarily. They were hoping for slightly above offensive production and elite shortstop defense. And then there's intangible things that Dansby Swanson provides that they were hoping he could help in the clubhouse with. I don't think that's the primary reason you go after him. I highly doubt Jed Hoyer's thinking in that fashion, but it matters. It matters for sure. He just hasn't produced the way one would expect. The offense is well below average right now, and that just doesn't work. I do believe Jed Hoyer. I know Jed Hoyer looks back at those winning teams from like 15 to 17, and he saw elite up the middle defense and said, that's how we can get back to being a great team. They do have elite up the middle defense. I don't know if you can say that about any other position right now. It's shortstop and second base. It kind of hurts when the rest of the defense isn't up to par around the field. So it's tough to justify spending so much on up the middle defense when the rest of the defense is kind of bringing the overall defense down, especially when you're not getting the offensive thump from the guy you spend all that money on.
Am I out of line in saying that the technically 2-year, $22.5 million contract that Shota Imanaga signed, I get it, there's team options, and it looks like, hey, we're going to pick those up. Is this the best out of nowhere story that we've seen? I mean, besides David Bodie hitting a grand slam when he first got called up back in, what was that, 2015 maybe? 2014-ish, somewhere
I think
there?
it was 18. It was 18 or 19, but yeah.
So that was already back in 18? Okay.
Yeah, something like that. It's the memories are fading or mixing all together, but it's up there. I can't think of many better contracts that the Cubs have signed. That's for sure. I mean, it's a steal. He's everything that you want in a player, right? He's a performer. He gets the results, but he's also flashy. He's fun. He's a good teammate. He likes to make jokes. You're showing highlights on the screen here, and I love watching guys like that get fired up and really enjoy the moment. And fans do too. Fans have quickly embraced him. He's quickly embraced the fans, the city. It's really fun to watch him pitch. I don't know where this team would be dreadful right now without him. If they didn't have him right now, they're already 5 games under. I don't know where they'd be. He's been so impressive. I thought he'd be good. I did not expect this. I did not expect this type of brilliance. I don't know. He's had some rough patches, and that he's bounced back already is nice to see and impressive to see. That's a crazy contract. That's a hell of a contract. You can't really beat that deal. I don't know if the Cubs, there were some people in the Cubs front office that were high on him. I don't think anyone expected this. This is pretty crazy.
Did anybody expect the starting rotation to do what they're doing? I mean, we've talked about the demise of the lineup right now, but the starting rotation between Tyon, 3, I'm not sure what he has, a 3 something, even after kind of a little bit of a,
maybe.
Yeah, it was just above a 3. Shota, Javier Assad has below a 3. Like, is this a product of good pitching, or are we overlooking the defense, which you talked about is why they brought in Dansby Swanson? They kind of build around that.
I mean, it's mostly good pitching. Jameson Taillon, I did expect him to bounce back from last season, but right now he's not striking out enough guys to make you really comfortable with those numbers, with the results. But hey, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts striking out more guys. And Justin Steele had a couple rough starts after coming back off the IL, but he's been brilliant too. He deserves more. I don't think he has a win this season, and he absolutely deserves to have a few wins. He's been really good lately. He's looking like the guy that finished 5th in Cy Young voting last year. I don't even think their projections had their starting pitching this good. I mean, you can talk about projections, right? Either public or private. And the reality is they were probably like an 80-something win team, low 80s for most projections. I don't think any of the projections had the starting pitching like this, which makes the offense all the more disappointing, because if you get this type of starting pitching, now you're talking about a 90-win team if the offense performs anywhere close to last year. So that's why it really feels more disappointing in a sense, like you wasted something so far through 2.5 months. They just they haven't taken advantage of starting pitching that I don't think many people expected. I mean, think about it. Kyle Hendricks has been rough to start the season, hurt at times. Jordan Wicks has been hurt. Justin Steele missed a month. All these things happen, and they still have really good starting pitching. That's the one bright spot, one of the few bright spots overall for the season and for the organization, as far as an organization that really struggled to develop pitching for a decade plus now has some homegrown guys that are really standing out, and they seem to be maximizing the guys that they've brought in.
So let's finish with this and spin it forward. How do you see everything playing out for Chicago? Does it look like they will go after a massive bat at the trade deadline? Do they go after a Pete Alonso at the deadline and some bullpen help? Do the Cubs try and switch things up significantly even within their roster? Anyone maybe ready to come up that Craig Counsell can bring, into the lineup as a rookie, right? I know there's some good prospects down there marinating. So what's the aftermath here of the nadir?
Yeah, so they need to get closer to 500, right? You said I believe they're a game and a half out of a playoff spot. So that they're still going to be in it. I'd be surprised, unless they continue to collapse. They don't really have much to sell. So I believe they're in a point where they kind of have to buy minimum soft buy, but I really do believe they have to look for an opportunity to get that big bat. And in all reality, they can't really go for a rental. They need to find someone that has another year on their deal. I go back to that Dodgers trade with the Nationals a few years ago, where they sent a few prospects, 4 prospects, 2 of them, highly thought of, for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. And that was a year and a half of Trey Turner, half a season of Max Scherzer. Can something like that be pulled off? They have the system. They finally have the system to do that. Back at when that trade was made, I remember looking at it, I was like, the Cubs just couldn't pull off a deal with this without emptying their system. They just don't have that type of talent. They do now. I don't know who the right team is. That's going to be shuffled out over the next month. There's going to be teams that get hot, that get cold, and then we won't have this bunching up near the bottom of the wild card where everyone is in it. So we'll figure out if that's Vlad Jr. and a reliever from the Blue Jays or something like that. Is there another bat that hits the market? They need someone beyond this season in the middle of that lineup. They need to find someone that they can trust to play at least close to an MVP level. Their prospects are fine. I don't know if there's an impact bat in the system for sure. There's not that slam dunk Chris Bryant guy that they had, coming up in 15. So I like their system. I'm not convinced that there's a superstar bat there, but there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of guys that they could call up Owen Casey later in the year. They could call up Matt Shaw later in the year. Those guys aren't coming up right now. They're not helping. They're not impacting this team right now. Mostly it would be relievers that, could have an impact, but not game changers. They need to make a trade. Jed Hoyer admitted it yesterday that, that they need internal improvements. But right now they can't. It's not like they're not looking, but right now they know that making a trade just isn't realistic. A month from now, we'll start talking about that a lot more. And if they're still in the thick of things, I expect Jed Hoyer to be very aggressive to look for solutions to what's going wrong. And the offense is a big one. And I think he knows that. Yeah, would he like to have like this balanced lineup where he's not spending a lot of money on one player? Sure. yeah, he'd love to run things that way. But I think he understands that a superstar bat would change things. They're hard to come by, really hard to find. If there's one available, I think he needs to be aggressive.
Yeah, big market team, small market division. Time to show your might. Time is now. So Sahadev, good therapy session with you. A lot of fans showed up for this. Some actually just showed up to kind of hear about the Cubs' struggles. So if you want to hear more of that, thank you, Sahadev. You can listen to Sharma and Mooney 3 times a week on Northside Territory. Go check it out. Go give it a subscription on the YouTube channel for free, of course, and on the podcast page as well. Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your pods, fresh episodes multiple times per week. There's one that just came out. There's another one coming out for you on Thursday. Scotty B here from FT. 1 in 5 Americans have learn a new language on their bucket list, and you should make 2024 the year you finally check it off the list with Babbel. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. Babbel's designed by real people for real conversations.
Kratz here. Brawny, you know what I'm doing? I'm working on my Spanish so that I can get my pronunciation and accent game to the next level. Babbel's speech recognition technology makes that happen.
Good job, Kratz. So here's a special limited time deal for FT listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for FT listeners. Again, that's up to 60% off at babbel.com/foul, spelled BABBEL.com/FOUL. Rules and restrictions may apply. With Babbel, you can learn everything you need to have real-world conversations, and all it takes is just 10 minutes a day.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.